Good afternoon, folks. Still here in beautiful northern Queensland. About to leave today, actually just about to head off to the airport and start making my way back to the UK. Very sad to be leaving, but as always, feeling very grateful for the opportunity to be able to spend so much of my time in beautiful places like this, around the people that are very important to me in my life, around my family and my friends, people that I want to spend time with, and very grateful for this lifestyle that I'm living, which allows me the money and the time and the freedom to live pretty much exactly the way that I want to. If you've been watching my stuff for some time, you'll know that I primarily make money every month from selling other people's products and services online, fully remotely. And last night I was up late adjusting my body clock back to UK time or back to European time. And I was looking back on some conversations that I've been having in the DMs. Every month I close a lot of business via DMs, direct messages. And from time to time, we'll go back and we'll review that to see where we can make tweaks, where we can make performance improvements, because you can always get better at this stuff, right? You can always hone your craft more and more. And this got me thinking about a particular situation that I found yesterday, got me thinking about a very core belief that I have in sales. And that is the fact that so often being better at making sales, being a more effective salesperson, is actually about doing less and getting out of the way of your prospects making the purchase than it is about doing stuff actively to try and get them to the end result. Now, I'm going to break this down with a very specific example from my chat history that I was looking at. And in this particular case, very elementary, very stupid mistake, but it highlighted that point, that part in my brain which makes me want to improve on this stuff. And I think there's a lesson in that too. So we actually had an issue with literally the payment link at the last stage of the deal. So this is a DM close, right? Close in direct messages. And there was friction with the link not working for the payment. And that set us back by a couple of days before there was a chance for that to actually work properly. Once all's told, right, we can go back and we can repair that we can fix that issue very quickly, but now you've introduced friction into the system. You've introduced another barrier between your prospect actually closing, between your prospect making that decision, okay, we can close, and actually being able to give you money and close the sale. And this sounds so stupidly basic when you say it out loud, right? Dumb mistake, shouldn't be happening. But it highlights the importance of avoiding stuff like this. And I think the lesson that we can take away from this more broadly, once again, plays back to something that I believe in very strongly in sales as a whole, right? Not just at the final stage where money's actually moving hands, but the entire sales process, which is that it's very easy to fall into the trap of doing too much, right? Overdoing it, when really what we want to be doing is facilitating and getting out of the way, removing hurdles, removing barriers, lubricating the whole process of the sale taking place. And I think this can be beneficial to people who are new to the game and people who are old and seasoned in the game as well, people who should know better in slightly different ways. So first of all, if you've been doing this for some time, you might well be tied up in particular habits, right? I've noticed this with myself, and I've noticed this with other salespeople as well who are experienced. You can get tied up in your pitch and your habits and your habitual way of making that sales process take place, and can be very helpful, as I say, in a core principle kind of way, to remember at all points, am I saying this? Am I doing this? Am I guiding the prospect through this particular part of the process? Is it necessary for me to do this? Or can we just get out of the way and let things happen naturally? Something to think about. For the newer people who are interested in getting into this potentially, people who are beginners, maybe people who aren't even in sales yet, right? Yet to make their first close. I am a strong believer in the fact that sales is a great opportunity for people who aren't necessarily experienced in the business world to make outsized returns for the amount of experience that they have. And this core belief that a big part of sales is about getting out of the way, plays into that very strongly. So if you're someone who is concerned about the barrier of entry of getting into sales, then understand this isn't the be all and end all, right? This isn't the only thing that you're going to need to know in order to excel at this. But just remember that your job isn't to actively poke and deceive, obviously, and convince and twist reality in order to make someone part with money. Your job is to ask questions, understand problems, and try to solve those problems. And then your job is really just to get out of the way, right? The best sales happen when the prospect sells themselves. And it is your job in those cases to get out of the way, to step back and to let the sale take place. Hope that's helpful. Hope you found something interesting in there. Plenty more to come. Catch you in the next one.